Hello and welcome back to the What is Life Dude podcast, everybody. We are Eric and Sarah.
Welcome back. We are filming this well in advance of its release date because, as we mentioned previously in our last episode, we are going to leave for New York for 2 weeks in just a few days. So we're stockpiling an episode just to make it easier.
Yep. Luckily, we have some updates. We've been doing stuff in our lives. And luckily, it's enough for us to talk about right now. We've kind of just been, how the kids say, crushing it these last few days in preparation for leaving. Because basically we figured while we're traveling, we can edit and we can upload things, you know, media content of various... I didn't know where that sentence was going. You know what I'm trying to say, though.
I think we're both a little brain dead right now because we are filming very late. I mean, we're trying to record so many things, like Eric said, so we can have some stuff to edit while we are not at our house.
Right. Yeah, what I was trying to say is it's easier to edit and upload than it is to film, edit, and upload while we're traveling.
Yeah.
So we're trying to make the content now so we can put it out later.
Right. So I don't think we were originally planning to record this today, but I was like, you know what? I put makeup on to film a different video. We filmed a music video earlier today. And I was like, let's just knock it out. It'll be great. It's better to do it now rather than leave it to the last minute. And I feel good for it.
It almost is the last minute.
Yeah.
But I guess if we tried to film it at our Airbnb, you know, this episode at our Airbnb in upstate New York, it would be a little more stressful and would take a little bit away from our vacation.
The thing is, I'm not sure if we would do it because I feel like every time I've ever traveled, I always plan to do work and then I just don't.
Yeah.
And then I feel bad about it when I could have just made myself, you know, hustle a little bit more before I left so I could just enjoy my vacation with a peace of mind.
And especially for the podcast and just how we cherish our podcast listeners, you know, it's, we didn't want to just end up skipping it. So we're knocking it out now.
Yes.
One other physical update. I am stuffed full of rice and tofu and broccoli and peppers.
Wow.
If that sounds good to you, you're not alone because I ate so much of dinner.
Yeah.
So we usually record the podcast nice and early in the day.
When you're light and
fresh. Light as a feather. Yeah, my brain's all working. And now it's funny because I can't even imagine what I would feel like if that wasn't like a nice vegan meal. If it was like beef. If I beef bricked myself. Have we talked about beef brick?
No.
Okay, let's just quickly, because this is going to be a random, you know, kind of hodgepodge episode. But on one of the recent seasons of Survivor that we watched, they had this reward challenge, and there was this guy who was like 71 at the time when they were filming it. And, you know, on these rewards in Survivor, if you've never seen the show, a lot of the times when the reward is food, they give them just a huge feast, just more food than like the 4 people on the reward can possibly eat.
Right.
But they're subsisting off of rice and beans, you know, like a tiny portion a day.
And this was pretty late in the game.
Yeah.
So they were used to not eating a lot.
And like legitimately famished. Like Survivor's not faked. Like those people are struggling out there. So this older guy was just crushing like these beef skewers that they had. It was like beef satay, right?
Yeah. And he was like, I haven't eaten meat in many, many years, but I was just so hungry and I just really needed protein.
And they were so good. So then it cut to one of the other Survivor players doing like one of those little interviews.
A confessional, yeah.
And she was like, yeah, he's really been packing in that beef. And then it like went to commercial and Sarah was like, do you think they put that in because something bad's going to happen to this old man?
Of course.
Right.
It's so carefully edited.
Yep. And then he wound up having to come out of the game because his like entire intestinal system like stopped working. It's not funny, but like, you know, the fact that
he was fine. Okay.
He was fine, but he like just couldn't go to the bathroom. And it's like, it was a huge problem. But I was joking when the doctors came in to look at him that all the doctors are Australian on the team because they shoot it overseas. I was joking one of the doctors, you know, Jeff Probst was going to be like, so doc, tell me what's wrong with him. And he's going to be like, well, Jeff, I had to diagnose him with something called beef brick. It's when there's a brick of beef in your stomach and you can't poop. That's my terrible Australian accent. But we've been referencing beef brick.
Well, one of us has been referencing beef brick
Yes,
at every potential turn.
Absolutely. That's Sarah, not me.
Right. So you feel like you've been tofu bricked right now.
I have a brick of tofu. Luckily, it's tofu. Mm-hmm. So that's a weird way to start the episode, but yet here we are.
Right. I mean, yeah, we just ate really, really late, actually, because we've been, like I said, trying to get as much done today as possible. I'm actually really proud of us.
Me
Historically,
too.
I just am really bad at maintaining productivity for more than I can have like a good run of like 3 days where I'm just killing it. And then I need to go into like hibernation mode. But this entire week, I've just known I needed to get everything done. So to spare myself the stress when we're traveling.
And what usually happens is when Sarah feels motivated, she's like, can we do this and this and this? And I just go and take care of like my portion of whatever work we're doing together. Mm-hmm. And really, really fires me up.
Right.
So the first thing we started to do was film some reaction videos. So this was something we did last summer when, I don't even know how it came up, but we were talking about doing reaction videos, and then you said that BTS, the K-pop band, was like super hot at the time, and they had just released a new single, and it was their first single in English, so we made a reaction video, and it was the first one we had ever done. We didn't really know what we were doing, and then it got a buttload of views.
Yeah.
So then we did a second one to a live performance of BTS's, and that got even more views, and then we stopped. Actually, we did two reaction videos to Blackpink, another K-pop band.
Yes.
But yeah, we did them, and it was weird. I mean, everything was weird last year, right? Like, if you didn't have a weird 2020, you're
weird.
Yeah, you're in the minority, I'm sure. So, I don't know, our brains, we were just in a weird place. So, we did the reaction videos, and we got a good, positive reaction response from the YouTube crowd. And then we stopped doing them because I don't really know why. I feel like we just felt like it wasn't us.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I forget now. Was it the last episode where we were talking about just like how hard it is to figure out exactly what you should be doing, like what content you should be creating on YouTube or social media in general? Because there's just so many types. There's so many options, And I don't think also we were like very clear on our motivations for the channel because we didn't have any original music to promote. We were just doing covers at the time and like very sporadically. Yeah. So it was hard to feel motivated to keep, creating content when we didn't have anything really to, I don't know.
Yeah.
We weren't super connected to the music at the time, I think.
Right.
We were stressed out about moving also.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's
definitely.
just weird to think about how much has gone on the past year.
It really is, yeah. But now we've done 2. We've released them on back-to-back days. They've got positive responses. We restarted the reaction videos with BTS because their fans are crazy. They're just like crazy, intensely in love with BTS, and they watch like every reaction video, and they leave you a million comments, and it's very cool, actually.
Well, I think what's so interesting is I can't find anyone, and there are no other groups or artists who have quite that like ardent a fan base. Like Billie Eilish is tremendously popular, Olivia Rodrigo, very popular, but no one really like rolls out for their band/artist like, K-pop people do.
And especially the BTS army, as they're known.
I mean, it's great.
It really is. But, I mean, it's cool because, now that we're doing the reaction videos, we're like, right before we get into the reaction, pre-save our new single. It comes out on Friday, July 23rd, right? Because that's part of the reason we're doing it, right? Is because we want more people who care about music and like what we say about music to potentially go listen to our music.
Right.
Right? I mean, a lot of people make content for that reason, right?
Yeah.
I mean, actually, I've been watching some reaction videos now, and literally at the beginning of all of like singer reacts to or musician reacts to, they're like, before I get started, pre-save my new single.
Join my OnlyFans. Follow my Patreon. Anyway.
Right, and yeah. But yeah, I mean, we've gotten a few comments like, "Oh, I pre-saved your song," and I'm like, "See, this is why we're doing it, because people are like connecting."
It's also fun. It's nice to have like a low pressure sort of type of content to make, because, obviously I'm making cooking videos all the time, which take, days and days to wrap up, from like planning the recipes to editing
to cooking
yeah
and cleaning,
everything in between. It takes a long time, so it's nice to have something that's a little bit more, just spontaneous, I guess. And you know what, it's funny because I feel like last year we did the our first batch of reaction videos. We were feeling a little bit weird about it because the fan base is quite protective of the members of BTS.
They're a little touchy.
So we were afraid we were going to upset them if we said anything, not even like vaguely critical, which we didn't really. We
did upset them, though I would argue the things we said that upset them weren't really that critical.
No, they weren't.
I would say like, "Oh yeah, they're performing live on NPR Tiny Desk and they have a background track playing with like just extra layers of harmonies, more layers of harmonies than there are people in the band, so they're backing track." And then we get a bunch of dislikes and people are like, "Actually, Jimin and Jin are singing them and you can see them." And I'm like, they're singing different parts. I mean, a lot of pop artists play to a backing track.
Okay,
just like objective things. Yeah, I know, I like got myself going. But just like objective things, and they're like, "You're wrong." Okay,
well, so that whole situation had Eric very salty for a while, so we just completely tabled reactions.
I know what I'm talking about.
Of all types, but the consequence was that Eric stopped liking BTS, because he felt offended by the fans. So he associated that feeling with the band, right? Which, the band is like, their whole thing is like positivity and kindness and stuff, so...
And that makes me mad.
So fast forward, BTS releases a new single, in May? Called Butter. And since I, at the time, was like very on top of like pop music, I was like following the charts and listening to New Music Friday every week at the gym. I heard Butter like right after it dropped. And I remember we were driving somewhere a couple weeks after it dropped. And Eric's like, "Put on some music." And I was like, I'm going to sneak Butter in there just to see if he like hates it. Do you know what I mean? But then you ended up really liking the song, and now Eric is listening to it more than me. So I think it was fun. I think like the whole, us kind of not rediscovering, coming back to BTS music and like actually appreciating it for what it is has been nice. We've been singing it constantly.
I am ARMY.
Yeah.
Well, the funniest part to me is that, rewind to when I had my little anxiety incident that we've talked about a lot recently. When I drove home from the gym that day, and I was like, "Okay, now we got to get home and not freak out again," right? I listened to Butter on repeat the entire drive home.
Right. Because it's so positive.
It was so catchy, and I was singing along, and it just made me, it like completely distracted me from what was going on the other side of my brain.
All right.
So I was just all over the Butter.
So BTS saved you.
I think they did. Yeah. Right.
Now you understand.
I really do. Yeah. I actually got an ARMY tattoo on my ribs. It's not healed yet, but I'll show you when it is. Yeah. I mean, I think I'm learning to separate them from their fans. And
also like, just to manage your expectations, because you can kind of decide what confrontation you want to provoke and whether it's worth it. And I don't think there's anything wrong with just appreciating a good, happy song and performance, for what it is. Like, we're not coming at it through like a super critical lens, because we don't need to, because we just appreciate different kinds of music. So,
and what's funny is that, I mean, sometimes we'll get comments on these videos where they're like, just like stop stopping so much, just like let the video play more, right? And then I'll watch other reaction videos to BTS songs, and the person just like barely says anything the entire time, and people are like, great reaction, and I'm like, so you just want to watch the video we're reacting to,
Right?
It's like, and that kind of is what it is.
I mean, somewhat. I think the interesting thing about these reaction videos and why they're so popular now is that, like, well, okay, 2020, people are lonely and separated, and FaceTime and what's it called? Zoom. I was going to say QuickBooks for some reason. That's like the app that came to mind. Finances are top of mind right now. Zoom is like everyone's like portal to the outside world and their friends. And like YouTube is like, it's like Zoom for people who don't want to make stuff. It's like by us putting out a reaction video, we are just creating an open forum for people with similar interests to like talk about it. And that's kind of cool, I guess.
It is. Well, the other half of this reaction videos conversation is that we want to start doing reactions to non-BTS things. But, you know, BTS is where we wanted to start because a lot of our subscribers subscribe to us because of BTS reaction videos. But we want to do reactions to other stuff. And I'm just curious to see what kind of response those get. You know, from like, you know, I want to play Sarah like songs from metal bands that she's never heard that I know from my childhood and see how basically she reacts. Then I'm like, well, I wonder how those fans are going to react to us reacting to that.
Right.
And I'm sure it's going to be so different.
Yeah. I haven't mentioned her on the podcast, but I've mentioned her to you a lot. And there's this artist who does a lot of covers on YouTube named Violet Orlandi. And she does everything in like metal, like heavy rock style, which I've noticed like people really seem to like hearing songs that are songs from one genre performed in a radically different genre. And also there's something just about the internet and like women with like this alternative look really developing huge fan bases. And she's like this goth girl and she's always recording in this like dark like a black background and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really know where it comes from. I mean, maybe for me, I know where it comes from. Like I remember when I was younger, I thought I was one of those people that thought Avril Lavigne was like the hottest person alive. Right. And I'm like, well, it makes sense for me because I grew up listening to like My Chemical Romance and Green Day and Blink-182. Like, and then she was one of just I was going to say women, but really she was a girl at the time. And I was like 12. Right. So she was one of like the only females in the scene. Right. So obviously I was like, oh, it's like Billie Joe Armstrong from Green Day, but a woman. Like she's so hot. Right.
Yeah.
And then like fast forward to today and I'm like, babe, I really like that choker you're wearing.
Yeah.
Like it like persists. But for like jocks and stuff.
Right.
Like I feel like those people still like the alternative woman look.
But
and I don't know why.
I feel like there's a reason. It's because we associate that alternative look with the girl who's like different. You know what I mean? Like at my school, at least in high school, there were like 3 scene girls. Yeah. And they were like off in their corner alone. And I feel like it's like this weird like fetishization. Say that. Fetishization. Right? And it's kind of similar with like girls who have the whole like manga aesthetic.
What is that again?
Like the anime looking girls.
Oh,
so what I've noticed on TikTok a lot is like, man, TikTok is a weird place. I love it. I have to like take it in small doses though. But like I've noticed that there are a lot of TikToks that have millions of followers and it's just women who are cosplaying and they like don't say anything. They're just like either they're like dancing to music or just like making cute faces and they're dressed like anime characters. And like men just love that. Women love that too, I guess.
Okay, manga is like
the comic books.
Okay, right. That's what I got that after you. Yeah. I mean, TikTok is a weird place in general. Yeah. I mean, we've done this thing. We've done it a few times now where we'll lay in bed And one of us will have our phone and we'll just scroll through TikTok and watch them together.
Yeah.
And hopefully laugh at them. But there was one that had like 9 million, not views, 9 million likes already. And it was this young woman, maybe a teenage girl, singing in her bathroom mirror.
But the caption was like, wait for it, or like, you won't believe what happened. So I was like, okay, well, something funny is going to happen. Something's going to crash down on her.
Right.
Like,
she's not singing a cappella. She was singing to a song blaring in the background, not a backing track. Like a song with the singer singing in the song.
Yeah.
And she was just singing along to it, and I couldn't differentiate who the singer in the song was and who the singer in the video was, and I too was waiting for something to happen, and then it just ended. She was just singing along to a song, and you could barely hear her, and everyone was like, your voice is so good. And I'm like, I couldn't even hear you. What is happening?
Because she's pretty. But like, see, that's
see
like,
her face.
It's so interesting. I really feel like now you can very much monetize being attractive, which is like cool. It really is. But also like, so I follow a bunch of different music subreddits, and I was on, I think, Pop Heads, and Normani just dropped a music video like today or in the past week. And people were talking, there was just a discussion about like pop being like, everything being so sexual nowadays, right? Like music videos. And people were like, well, at one point it felt like very empowering. And yes, it still is empowering if it's what the artist wants to do. But also like, it's so like normal now. It's almost like, to what extent do these people genuinely want to show up this way versus they just feel pressured to? Because they were, for example, they were like, you know, Ed Sheeran, Louis Capaldi, Post Malone.
Ed Sheeran's very sexual.
Extremely successful, popular musicians who, you know, aren't really widely regarded as physically attractive, and nobody really cares, but it's almost requisite to be like beautiful and sexual and desirable to be successful as a woman. And I don't know, it's just strange. Yeah. And I watched that music video, and it is very, I mean, most of it's not actually that risque. It's like pretty par for the course as far as like hip hop goes, but like there is this I didn't understand because I hadn't seen the video when I was reading the original the thread, but they were like, it's weird because, you know, a decade ago or whenever, when Wrecking Ball came out, Miley Cyrus gets absolutely reamed for licking a sledgehammer, and then now like Normani is scissoring herself.
Is that what was happening?
Yeah, she's like doubled somehow.
Okay.
I presume it's like a double.
I'll have to go watch that for scientific purposes, for research purposes only.
Right. So they're like, and it's just like, whatever, it's normal. We're so desensitized to it. So I don't know how I got on this topic, but it was just really interesting.
I mean, it is a fascinating topic.
Yeah.
I mean, just because you think about like, no, listen, I'm going to use Britney Spears as an example, but I don't actually, maybe you might know better, but I feel like she might have been one of those people who, she was getting popular when she was very young, and her label might have been like, you have to be like sexy schoolgirl in this video. Yeah. I mean, I know she definitely at some point took charge and took authority over that, and she wanted to do that. Yeah. But my point is, I mean, it's empowering when the artist, like you said, chooses to come across that way, as opposed to the label saying you need to look sexy even if you don't want to, because that's going to get hits.
Someone brought up
fucked up.
Yeah, that exact example. They were like, we don't even know how much Britney was in charge of how she was like being sexualized or like choosing to dress more risque. And everyone like credits her as being the driver behind that, but we really don't know. And she was so young.
And what I like about what's happening nowadays, I just feel like the liberal movement of young people is really just advocating for doing whatever the fuck you want. Yeah. Either way. You know, like they'll say, you know, if you want to scissor yourself in a music video, go for it. But if you're Phoebe Bridgers and you want to put on a skeleton onesie that covers your whole body and stand in front of a green screen and dance to your song Kyoto, you can also do that. You don't need to. I mean, she is very like sexual outside of her Like she does photo shoots with things and
with things
with magazines,
right?
Where
she's like
naked.
open and up. She's like a pro sexual liberation and
right.
stuff, and like outspoken about that. Yes,
but she'll also just like wear a skeleton onesie and whatever. And I think it's so great that so many people, specifically young people, are like, yeah, do either. We don't care. Just do whatever you want to do.
Right. I mean, I think like the popularity of Billie Eilish too is an example of how like people were so drawn to the fact that she didn't like she dressed in such an unconventional way. I guess she's kind of changing that now, but
why do you think she changed that? Like do you think it's been bubbling up inside of her to be like, you know what, I want to break out of this thing and like I do want to be sexy?
Yeah.
Do you think she's been thinking about that?
I have no idea, honestly. Yeah. I feel like when you're that young, you just change so rapidly. Mm-hmm. And it's just hard to know, right?
Yeah. And I think she said she didn't want to be sexualized because, you know, when
she was underage.
When she got famous, she was really young.
Yeah.
So now that she's 19, I think now.
Question mark? Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe that's what's making her want to break out a little. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's an interesting conversation.
Yes.
Okay, what else? We have a list this time because, you know, when it's a hodgepodge episode, I can't believe we just went on that tangent.
I like it.
Me too.
It's music related.
Yeah. Oh,
also, it's like, I don't know, it's just everything that's like swirling in our minds right now because we're making music, yes, but as we keep discussing, image and branding is like 80% of, mm-hmm. I mean, who knows what actual percent it is, but right. It's just so much and you have to think about it because people get attached to your sound and to your image, and then when you make changes, people have to be on, your following has to be on board. Mm-hmm. So you have to, it's best if you can decide, you know, how you want to show up mm-hmm. very intentionally when you first launch, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what we think our first music video is going to be and be like. Is that okay?
Sure.
Are you sure?
Go for it.
Okay. So we're thinking for our first song, I Know How to Breathe. It's coming out on Friday, July 23rd, which is 2 days from the time you're seeing or listening to this.
You sound like Chef John.
Really?
Which is July 23rd.
I wonder how many people listening know who Chef John from YouTube is.
He has got millions of subscribers.
That's true. Very soothing voice. And he talks like this.
I think he has maybe been overtaken by, you know, Weissman and Babish. Yeah.
And I don't really know who else.
Right.
But, shit. What was I going to say? Oh, music video. Okay. So we're releasing our first song and we're like, we want to have a video for it, but we don't want to,
we don't want to hire a professional crew to produce it for us because that's exceptionally expensive.
Right. And Northern Colorado really isn't the hub for visual media. Like, I'm sure we could find people to do it, but it's not like we're in LA. Like, I don't even know if there are companies who do that where we live.
Right.
But anyway, that point aside, we're like, let's just make something fun. Like, we have nice camera. We have nice camera. We have a nice camera. We can just like shoot stuff. It'll look homemade, but I've seen a lot of videos that are obviously homemade and it doesn't matter.
Yes.
Right? So we're like, we might, when we're upstate, take some just like footage of us fucking around to put it not so gently and just what? I could have said messing around.
Right.
I went with fucking around.
But then you said not so gently.
To put it not so gently. It
sounded like we're going to be doing something hardcore, but we're not.
I see. Yeah. No scissoring.
No scissoring
each
ourselves.
other or ourselves. But yeah, just basically beat bopping around town and having fun and like cutting that together behind our song.
No promises.
Yeah, there are no promises, but I don't know. It's just one of those things that we're kind of talking about, and people like music videos, but
they do.
Yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. Really, we don't have to talk more about it. We can move on.
I don't know if you can't tell, the idea of shooting a music video is very stressful to me, but I'm sure we'll figure it out.
Well, the thing that doesn't worry me about it is like there's no pressure to do anything or to do anything right or a certain way.
I know, but I'm operating the camera, and like that's the situation I find myself in, is that because I make YouTube videos, I'm like the camera person / photographer, and I'm not good at that stuff. I basically know the bare minimum to accomplish what I need to for food photography. And
but you've learned enough over the years that you know much more than me, even if you don't like doing it.
Yeah.
So it's like, if we're going to shoot a music video, it's like, well, Sarah has to figure out the camera stuff because you technically just know more.
Sure.
I guess I could learn. When you teach me your ways?
You know, I could.
I just point and shoot at stuff and it looks bad.
Right.
I mean, we've talked about the photography angles that I do.
See, this brings up an interesting topic, which kind of ties into, I think, what we were talking about last episode, which is like, there's just so many pieces to this puzzle of making music and getting it out there. And there's like 1,000 boxes to check. And you don't have to check all of them. And then it's hard to know which boxes sometimes are absolutely compulsory. As in, like, can you be successful without making a music video for every single? And I don't know yet. But
yeah, and like what's classified as a music video?
Right.
Like, do lyric videos count? Can we just do something that we do, you know, like how we shoot our covers, right? Which is just us, you know, miming into a microphone.
The answer is yes.
Yeah, right?
So, yeah, I don't know. This entire thing is stressful because...
I'm sorry, I wouldn't have brought it up.
Because what I've learned, I feel like, just trying so many things, like, in the digital space over the past couple years, is like, anytime I force myself to do something that is just, like, absolutely, like, hell for me to do, it usually doesn't... the payoff is not usually there. So... sometimes I wonder if I should just stop trying. Even like sometimes there's this conventional path you think you need to take, and you keep hitting a wall, but you're like, oh, this is the only possible way I can accomplish that. When actually there's, you know, probably infinitely many ways you could get to the same end point that don't go through that, you know, pass.
Right. And it's also hard to think, okay, well, we're going to New York and we're going to spend half the time upstate by ourselves before we go to see Eric's family for the rest of the time. So let's enjoy that time and spend it wisely while we're by ourselves. It's like, okay, well, we can shoot a music video and we can just figure out fun things to put in.
But then my perspective is then we paid to travel and lodge ourselves to work.
Right.
Which is like, what?
And then the other side of it is like, okay, great, we made a music video. I mean, this is what happened. You know, remember how stressful it was making a music video for my band a few years ago? We went into the photo studio where I used to work. They let us in, and one of the video guys from the company I used to work at like shot footage of us playing the song, and then Sarah shot B-roll of us like doing other things outside. And then Sarah edited the whole thing together, and it was stressful, and it got like 100 views.
Well, you didn't really promote it.
Right, but that's the other fear. It's like, oh, spending all this time on a music video, and then like not a lot of people watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's tough.
Which is why I think like your decision to make something needs to be separate from other people's approval. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Which is why I'm like, okay, well, you know that even if nobody necessarily ever listened to your music, you would continue to make it, you would continue to write it and produce it and become better at your craft, because that's something that is like a part of your soul. Whereas a lot of other things are a means to an end. And there are a lot of different things you can kind of... I'm trying to think of like a good analogy. It's like... like a menu of different things you can add on to that one core activity. So there's like the main thing, which is making music, which is part of you. And then there's this menu of things you can choose to augment that and get it out into the world. And it's helpful if you can find the things that you enjoy, right?
To be a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So like when we were trying to decide what kind of content to make on our Cute Threat YouTube channel, we were kind of going around YouTube, seeing what other musicians were making. And some musicians make a lot of vlogs, and some of them do just consistently release cover videos. Some people release covers just, you know, filming in a room, like singing to the camera. And then some people, for every cover they release, they make like a produced music video that they hired somebody to film and edit, you know? And it's like, what aspect of the whole process really speaks to you? Because I would bet that the people who make those super polished music videos, like they really resonate with like being in costume and being performers and like the whole visual aspects of it. Whereas some people don't, you know?
Yeah. And we found ourselves somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
Of both those styles.
And it's even like when you look at like popular artists, like top of the charts artists, like everyone is so different. Like we've talked, I think, about how The Weeknd is like super shy, I guess. I don't know if shy is the right word.
Closed off, private. He's
very private. You don't see him doing a lot of interviews. I don't follow him on social media, I don't think, and I mean that matches his aesthetic, his like dark, kind of creepy aesthetic. And then there's like, I don't know, Billie Eilish, right? She's like so open and like raw with her fans that, I mean, sometimes it gets her in trouble, right? Because now people are used to a certain level of intimacy and they feel entitled to that. And if she withdraws it temporarily, they're like, what the fuck, right? And like, it's not really the same with The Weeknd because he never like offered that up on a platter.
And then I think I'm like, how did he even get popular?
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, when you do marketing research as a musician now,
yeah,
it's like you have to, you are the brand and you are what people care about.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how you get people to listen to your music.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, it's true.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I feel like a lot of the people who listen to our podcast are going to go listen, or they're going to go give our song a try. And it's because they like us. And that's why they listen to our podcast. Mm-hmm. Yes, I'm talking to you. Hello.
Hello.
And it's like, the more open and honest you are about your lives and your thoughts, I mean, the more people resonate, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's why I like listening to Rhett and Link's podcast, because they're like, my wife did this, and like, my kids.
I got beef bricked.
Stop. See, she's the one who says beef brick.
Hey,
it's not me.
I like tying things back in. You know?
It's good.
I like having a motif,
classic,
a beefy motif.
It's classic comedy. But yeah, so then you have someone like The Weeknd who just like doesn't talk about anything, but people still love him. And I'm like, I mean, what would we even do if we didn't market like our personalities?
But do you see what I mean? Like, there's so many ways to do that. Yeah. And also, I didn't watch this, but I just get recommended so many on my personal YouTube channel, which is different from, like, I have different, like, multiple Instagram profiles, multiple YouTube profiles, because I like having my different interests, like, compartmentalized. So my Sarah's Vegan Kitchen, I'm mostly following, like, food and health. Then I have a separate one where I'm just following, like, I don't know, self-development people, people in the financial space lately, other musicians. And I saw a video, which I added to watch later, which was like, never do business as yourself. Like, you need to be in control of the narrative, because I think this is something else we talked about, which is like, people are going to project onto you whatever they want unless you give them, unless you feed it to them how you would prefer to be perceived, and like show up consistent with that. And so even when we talk about like marketing our personalities, it's like what does that mean?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't come on to our podcast and like fight with you or start crying and talking about how I'm hopeless, you know? And I have those moments because that's like being a human. It's like, even when we are being authentic, quote unquote authentic, like we're still editing ourselves, you know?
Yeah. Except when I describe my anxiety in full detail for 30 minutes on an episode.
Right. But you didn't pull out your camera and vlog yourself having a panic attack.
I did. I just haven't released it yet.
Oh.
It's going on my brand new YouTube channel.
Oh, that should be premium content, actually. Yeah. You can monetize that.
It's called Pewdie Cry because it's all videos of me crying. That was a stupid joke. That was a recording the podcast at 10 p.m. joke after a long day. But yeah, how we market ourselves is very important. I'm sorry I skewed the conversation a left turn there. But I think we do a good job, and I think we do come off as authentic because we are authentic. And
I'm not, personally.
She is.
Everything's a lie.
She is. You're what?
I don't know.
Yeah. Didn't have a backup plan. Is there anything else we want to talk about?
I don't know.
I feel like I really derailed the conversation.
You know,
there.
sometimes you do.
I know.
The number of, if I got a penny for every single time you said something absurd and then said, oh, that was a terrible joke immediately after, as if you didn't know before you said it that it was a terrible joke.
Well, it's one of those things like, I'm like, there's a chance Sarah
It's so
laughs.
Eric. That's so Eric.
It's the future I can't see. That's so Eric.
Right.
Okay, what else? Little things.
Synchronicities.
Oh. We've talked about on the podcast before how we're just constantly running into synchronicities in our lives where we talk about something and then it immediately shows up somewhere else.
Usually in media.
Right. So, for example, the other night, was that last night?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Sarah said, she's like, I think I'm going to make a cheesecake. And I said, okay. And then hours later, I was like, can you make it a key lime cheesecake?
And I was like, you literally have said plainly that you don't like key lime flavored stuff. What?
And I said, I don't know. It just sounds really good right now. And Sarah was like, okay. And then she ended up not doing that because she doesn't have key limes in the house.
I had key limes, but I just wanted...
You did? What the hell? And then, okay, so she made the cheesecake, and then we were watching Survivor, and Jeff was telling the contestants what the reward was. He was like, you'll get fried chicken, hamburgers, and for dessert, key lime pie. And it's just one of those things, like, we haven't talked about key lime pie ever. And then that's the episode we choose from a season from like 7 years ago. And he mentions key lime pie. Right. So what we did, Sarah opened a note in her phone and shared it with me. Now we both have access to this note called Synchronicities. And every time one comes up from here on out, we will document it.
Right.
There have been so many over the last 4 years. And we just started the list.
I want to tell two more.
Please.
The other one was one that just happened, which is that Eric and I we were like, let's go get physicals. You know, neither of us has seen a doctor since, quarantine was happening. So we went in. I decided to, because I have been vegan since late 2015, I was like, it's time for me to get a blood test, just make sure I'm not deficient in anything. So doctor ordered a blood test. We went and got it right after. And I've never had, what are they called? Phlebotomists. The phlebotomists have issues drawing blood from me. Luckily, because I feel like there are people who like have bad veins or whatever, and they get stuck. You've
got good veins.
I've got
Usually.
Good veins.
Me too. Look at these guys.
Juicy. But for some reason, I think it was because I was dehydrated. Who knows? She was having a lot of trouble filling all the vials. And she was like, do you feel that flapping sensation? I was like, what?
Somewhere, someone listening just threw up in their car.
She's like, that flapping, that like vibrating. She's like, your vein is like, I didn't know. She was explaining it and I didn't understand.
You were on the verge of unconsciousness.
Am I going to die?
Yeah.
But it was fine, ?
I mean, it's a few days later and you're still here. You're still flapping.
So Flap on.
Flap on, you crazy diamond.
So we went home later that night. We started watching Atypical. Good show.
Great show on Netflix.
I have to say I'm not really enjoying this most recent season as much as the past ones.
I think this is season 4, season 3, and so far season 4. Just a little cheesy. Like sitcoms, even the good ones just get cheesy at the end.
Right. Anyway, in this episode, main character decides that he needs to go get physicals, and it's an issue because he's terrified of needles and he needs to get a blood draw. The reason he's afraid of needles is because I guess if you accidentally get a bubble of air in your vein, it could kill you. And I'm like, oh my God, the flapping? Was the flapping a bubble of air going into my veins?
Right. And I so expertly talked Sarah off the ledge by saying, if there's a bubble of air in your vein, you'd already be dead. And I guess it worked. It made her feel better, I think.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. Okay, what was so you said you had 2 synchronicities. That was one of them.
Oh, this other one is just super random, but it was like kind of weird. So a couple weeks ago, got a new computer. Eric set it up for me. It comes with like a default. It's an Apple product, right? So it came with a default wallpaper. But Eric was like, oh, what wallpaper do you want? And so he was taking me through the ones that come pre-downloaded on the machine. I was like, I don't like. So he's like, okay, I'm going to put a cute cat on your wallpaper.
Oh, right.
You tell the rest of it. I'm talking a lot.
No, I want you to, because I said, oh, right, but I don't remember every detail.
What?
So you need to...
Okay.
You need to go.
I don't know what exact query you put in. I don't know if you put like
I searched like
cat in space or galaxy cat or something.
I just searched cat wallpapers.
Okay.
And I found a great one of a macro close-up image of a cat, like staring kind of like cross-eyed down at the camera. And the background was space, like the galaxy. Right. So it was this floating cat head in space.
Yes. And then like the next day or something, I was watching a Teal Swan video on YouTube. Teal Swan is like the spiritual teacher. She releases a video every Saturday. And the most recent video, so it's all the videos are her just like sitting, talking to the camera. And her team uses a lot of stock footage, stock photos to make the video more interesting. And one of the stock photos, I don't even remember like what the context was this cat was the wallpaper
right.
that Eric had picked. Right. And I'm like, what? Because here's the thing. When people run like blogs where they need a lot of images, but they're not like photographers, right? Like they will subscribe to a stock photo service so that they don't get any legal problems. And I'm like, but what they decided that not only are they going to use all this professional stock footage, they're also going to Google cat wallpaper and use it. Yeah. And I'm like, what? This is just weird.
It might have been the same day. Yeah. Not even the next day.
Yeah, maybe.
Right, but it was just like this
disturbing,
very random photo. I mean, it's not a random photo if you Google like cat in space wallpaper.
But why?
But I can't imagine that that's what Teal Swan searched for.
Right.
And how she also stumbled upon it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. Yeah. This shit happens all the time to us. Like all the time. Yeah. So we'll keep writing them down and we'll keep talking about them on the podcast. One last thing we want to talk about is the other night, sometimes Sarah and I live together and work together and we don't really go places by ourselves. We're just like always together. But sometimes we still feel at the end of the day like we didn't get to see each other at all. Just because we're both working on stuff or we're working on stuff together and
we're not in couple mode.
Yeah, there's no personal connection. We're just like working on stuff, right?
You're just a pawn in my chess game.
As you are with mine.
Whoa.
What? Oh, it's okay if you do it. Yeah, so sometimes we're just at the end of the day, we're like, I miss you. So we're like, how can we connect? Like, watching Survivor's fun, playing video games is fun, but it's not the most connecting.
No, it's not.
And Sarah's like, what can we do? I was like, I think you actually may have recommended us playing cards.
Yes.
So 2 summers ago when my friend Ed came to town, we went camping and we were stuck in the tent all night because it was raining. we had this grand idea to like, we did the camping thing, brought the chairs, brought firewood.
Mac and cheese
that Sarah made, Beyond sausages. And then we were stuck in the tent the whole time in the rain. So he taught me how to play gin rummy, and it was so fun. So then fast forward to a few days ago, I was like, we can play some gin rummy if you want to play cards. So we kind of looked up the rules and remembered how to play. And Sarah doesn't like anything like that's conflict or
nothing competitive.
Competitive, thank you.
I specifically suggested playing cards because I know you like it and I don't usually want to play them with you. And you got to keep your mans, so you got to make some concessions sometimes.
The first game she won, but didn't know she won. And then I
was unclear on the rules.
And then I also won, and I was like, sorry, babe, I beat your ass. And then she flipped her cards over, and I was like, babe, you won already, and you didn't say anything. You won first, and you didn't say anything.
I was trying to win more. Harder.
She had a misconception where she was trying, you basically just have to get matches of cards or get them in order. And Sarah got all the cards that were matching were like 10, Jack, Queen, and King. So she like somehow won with all the highest cards because she thought that was the point. So not only did she beat me before I beat her and didn't say anything, she also had all the best cards somehow. So you like extra double, triple beat me. And then we played some Go Fish, which that game sucks.
As a 2-player game.
I think with, if 6 people, give me some 6-person Go Fish. But with 2 people, it's just like waiting to see who dies first. It's just like, will you go? You go first. Yeah. It was fun though. And it really, even though Go Fish was super boring, there was so much more of a connection just like sitting on the floor.
Without a TV on, without our phones. Yeah. I agree.
It didn't even matter what the hell we were doing. We were just doing it together face to face.
Yeah. Nice. That's why I kind of want to get puzzles again. We were doing puzzles end of 2019, I guess.
Good thing we're going to go see my dad, who actually everyone in my family loves puzzles.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they'll have some great recommendations for us.
Can I just say though, I just have to I have to out you. So the first time we did we only do one puzzle together?
I think so.
Oh my God. Eric got us a puzzle. We were really excited. I know I love puzzles. So
anyway, thanks for listening.
What was it, like 1,000 pieces? It was big.
I think so, yeah. I'm about to get so roasted.
I'm not going to roast you. I'm just going to out you. So Eric just is not having fun because there's just too many options and it's too hard and it's not satisfying for him. So I'm like, babe,
I was being lazy.
Don't abandon me here. This is our bonding activity. So what I started doing was, I feel like this is what most people do with puzzles. They'll like do the edges. And then what I was doing was sorting everything by like similar colors. So I would be like, okay, well, this is the sky and this is the dirt and here's the campfire and here's the boat, whatever.
It was a canoe specifically. Thank you.
Right. So what I would do was I would like sort all the colors and then I would find some sort of distinctive like feature in the puzzle. So I'd be like, oh, well, here's this rain hat. Rain hat?
Sure.
Is that what it's called? Like
sure.
the yellow hat you put on in the rain that matches your Macintosh?
Yeah. Sounds right.
Okay. So I'd find that and I would start that and I'd be like, babe, here, take over.
And I'd be like, ooh.
The puzzle is like now, instead of 1,000 pieces, it's like 50 potential pieces.
Right. Yeah. She like narrowed it down for me. So I would have, really what she did was she treated me like a child. And it worked. I had much more fun doing it that way.
You were like, yeah, I finished it.
I won't do it like that next time. We'll get a puzzle, and I won't do it like that.
Yeah, you will. Because that's my job.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Kind of like how if Eric wants to make cookies, I will measure all the ingredients.
Luckily, I edit this podcast, so I can just cut all this shit out.
I'll measure the ingredients, and then I'll give Eric the hand blender, and then he just gets to mix everything together.
And then at the end, I say, I made cookies! And Sarah's like, yes, you did, sweetie. And you did a great job.
Yeah, you did.
And then the audience applauds and, appreciates Sarah for handling me.
It's wholesome. I think it's very wholesome.
I think it's cute. I mean, I'm playing up the me being an idiot thing, but I mean, really, she knows what I like, and I know what she's like, and I appreciate you, and I love you. Mm-hmm. You want a sugar cookie? I know you do.
I really do.
The dough's already made, luckily.
One last thing.
Yeah.
What book are you reading? I feel like this has to be a recurring segment.
Man, okay, I think I haven't heard from my family about the podcast in a while, so I'm sure they're behind, and probably my dad will probably tell me, yeah, we're a little behind, but eventually he's going to listen to this episode. But I will probably have already told him that I bought The Stand by Stephen King. It's my next book to listen to.
Audiobook, yeah.
Yeah, audiobook. It is 48 fucking hours long, which is absolute insanity. Like the last book I listened to, Project Hail Mary, was 16 hours, which I feel it's like a 600, 700 page book. Average, standard. 48 hours! Oh my god. My dad's like, it's an epic. It's all the character development and exposition is worth it. I read it when I was a teenager. You're going to love it. And I'm like, if someone tells you they love something as a teenager and that person is now 62 years old, you just can't really take their word for it because it's a lot of time that's gone by. And my dad probably has very fond memories of reading The Stand when he was in high school or college. I'm like, okay, I'll buy it with my credit and I'll listen to it. I'm like 3 hours in and nothing has happened yet. And it's not even just the book. It's like the extended, like he added manuscript back into the original and added like, a sixth of the book.
There's not like a normal version?
There's not. That's the standard version now.
Yikes.
Yeah, so far it's been brutal. So I put it on pause and I had another credit and I bought a book called I Am Legion, parentheses, I Am Bob. Which sounds stupid, and I think it is supposed to be kind of stupid. But I've only listened to 10 minutes. I don't really know what's happening or what's going to happen, but this guy sells his company and comes across great wealth because he sold his company for a ton of money. And I said he comes across great wealth, like him selling the company wasn't the reason why. No, he sells his company for a buttload of money. And then he signs up to have his brain cryogenically frozen once he dies. And I think he dies right away. I think that's like part of the joke is that he immediately dies after, I'm not there yet, and then he wakes up sometime in the future and there's like intergalactic war or something. But like, it just seems like some cool sci-fi shit that I like, but I think it's all funny and kind of silly. And I'm excited I think The Stand is just this crazy, brutal, epic book, and I can't even get into it, and I'm like...
You do need some humor, don't you?
I definitely do. Yeah.
Yes.
So, I'll let you know. There are 4 books in the series, so I'll let you know what happens. People watching.
All right. Yeah. Thanks for that. I just wanted to keep everyone abreast of the situation.
I think he clones himself and makes a bunch of Bobs, which is why it's called I Am Legion.
We are Bob.
I am Bob. The series of 4 books is called the Bobiverse series.
Wow.
Yeah. It sounds pretty stupid, but I hope it's pretty stupid in like kind of
amusing way.
Yeah, like in like a mature stupid.
Is this written recently?
Yeah, the first book was like 2016, I think.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if it was old school.
I have a feeling I'm going to get pretty into it.
Yeah, I think you will.
I can just tell I will be one of the Bobs.
How many hours is this one?
They're all like 10 hours, so they're all pretty short.
All right.
So
now that you tell me that you have books that are 16 and 48 hours, it's making me realize that I was not getting that much out of my money when I was subscribed to Audible because I don't think I've ever bought a book that's been longer than 8 hours.
Really?
Granted, I have very short attention spans, so I listen to most of the book on 1.5 speed.
That kills me.
Yeah, but I don't listen to fiction, so...
Yeah, if you're listening to nonfiction, it's a little different. Yeah. Like with fiction, sometimes they get really good narrators, and they do different voices for all the people, and...
You should be the narrator. You should put
I don't know if I could.
You should put a... What is it? Voiceover? Not voiceover.
Yeah, It would be audiobook narration.
Yeah. A gig up. That would be fun. I would like to do that.
I can't do accents.
Okay.
That would be a problem. Well, actually, I did an Australian accent earlier. That was pretty good, wasn't it?
Break.
That was pretty fire. It was a fire accent. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. I don't know what that is. Time to go to sleep, Eric. Okay. Last thing. There's not going to be a video next week for the podcast because we're going to be on the road, and it's easy enough to record the audio for the podcast, but the video is kind of a pain in the ass. So we're just going to skip it next week. So we apologize in advance. Once we get back to Colorado, we'll get back on it.
Yep.
Just wanted to throw that out there. Is there anything else?
Nope, I don't think so. I want to make sugar cookies.
That was a fun as hell episode.
Yeah?
I really enjoyed that. And I hope you guys enjoyed listening and watching as much. It was a little disjointed, as Sarah's computer is now showing. She has a word of the day screensaver, and it says disjointed.
Remember when it kept showing depression?
And we were trying to get a picture of it?
Usually it's like big words. Like Benausic is on there, which what the hell does that mean?
Benausic?
Yeah. I've learned a lot of new words, actually, with that screensaver.
It's helpful.
But one day it just kept showing depression, and the definition of depression. It was like, wow, thanks, Steve.
And Steve Jobs?
Yeah.
I don't know if he's in charge of it
Personal
anymore.
attack on me.
Yeah, I think that's why they programmed it that way. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching and listening. Our first song comes out in 2 freaking days. That's crazy. It's crazy town. So I hope you guys listen to it. It would mean a lot to us. Very, very excited.
Yes.
Okay. Well, we'll talk to you next week from New York.
New York.
And for now, we'll send it over to our supporter shout out. Hi guys, we're pausing this conversation for a few moments to give a big thank you to our supporters. These are our listeners who make a monthly contribution through Anchor, which is our hosting platform. If you'd like to become a supporter as well, you can visit anchor.fm/whatislifedude and click on the support button.
And if you enjoy the show, another great way to support us is by giving us a positive rating and a review on iTunes. Just takes a few moments and it helps new listeners find the podcast so we can continue to grow our community. So thank you so much to everyone who supports us in one way or another. This podcast wouldn't exist without you guys.
So without further ado, shout out to our Anchor supporters: Inga, Mel, Morgan, Jennifer, Scotty, Glenn, Kevin, Jessica, Marie, Nina, Izzy, Reem, Alexis, Annalise, Nadia, Merv, Nicole, Teresa, Kelsey, Anna, Megan, Samantha, Dylan, and Sarah.